On Erev Shabbat, on Friday evenings, along with the tradition of lighting candles and drinking wine and blessing challah, there's also a tradition of blessing our children. When we bless our girls, we bless them. May you be like Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, like our matriarchs, which makes a lot of sense. These are women that are huge players in our history and in our way of understanding Jewish text and tradition. But interestingly, when we bless our sons, we don't bless them, maybe like the patriarchs, like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. No, we bless them. May you be like Ephraim and Menasseh. Who are these Ephraim and Menasseh? Well, they are Joseph's sons. And in this week's Torah portion, Parashat Vayechi, Joseph brings his sons to his father, Jacob or Israel. Um, he knows that Jacob is not faring well and wants his sons to be able to be blessed by his father. Jacob or Israel, crosses his hands to bless Ephraim and Manasseh. And Joseph says, Dad, you've got the wrong hand on the wrong kid's head. He says, I got this. I know what I'm doing. You know, back off, kid. He also says to Joseph that Ephraim and Manasseh will be counted among Jacob's children, not among Joseph's children, that any other children that Joseph has, they will be attributed to him, but these two are attributed to Jacob. So they are among the 12 tribes. They are Bnei Yisrael. And so this is actually a really, really big deal. And one of the things that it says is that um, maybe Joseph's favoritism in his father's eyes continues, but also that even though Joseph had been lost for so many years, that really he's still near and dear to his father's heart, as will the generations that follow him. The other thing it does is it follows a theme that runs throughout Genesis, which is that the son that we expect to get the blessing and the covenant may not be the one who gets it. So if we start at Abraham, for example, we know that in Parashat Lech Lecha, right, God says, get up and go, and he's going to have a covenant through Abraham. Part of that covenant is that he will have as many children as there are stars in the sky, as there are grains of sand on the shores of the sea. And the first son that he has through Hagar is Ishmael. His second son is Isaac, and that's through Sarah. And we know that our covenant is understood to go through Isaac. Okay, Isaac has two sons, Esau and Jacob. Esau is born first. There is a whole story about Esau selling his birthright to Jacob for lentil soup, and then Jacob fooling his father into giving him his brother Esau's blessing. Once again, the blessing goes to the second son. Then Jacob has 12 sons, one daughter. The oldest son is Reuven, and so we should expect the biblical narrative to follow Reuben, but no, the biblical narrative really follows Joseph as the favored son. Now, he is the firstborn to Rachel. Matrilineal firstborn doesn't count in quite the same way patrilineal firstborn counts biblically or even historically. So part of what's happening here is that Jacob is claiming something that God does throughout Genesis, which is to say, it's not incidental who gets the blessing, who gets the covenant. It's very intentional, and there's choice that goes into it. And it's not a matter of who's born first, it's a matter of who is the best qualified or who is the one chosen to maintain a tradition or to receive a blessing. The other thing that happens is it may be that Jacob is working on rectifying what he did all those years ago when he fooled his brother, and he is now in a place where he can bestow blessing. And the blessings that he bestows on his own children are not all that lovely. They're more a reflection of who his sons are. And so some of them are not so kind. They're a little blunt, but not necessarily kind. But what he does for Ephraim and Manasseh is to set them up so that they both receive blessings, and it's not that younger or older is really primary. So we know that these two youngsters receive blessings in this week's Torah portion. That doesn't tell us why our sons are blessed through Ephraim and Manasseh on Shabbat. Well, the answer to that, according to our sages, is that they are the first two brothers in the Torah who get along. And not only get along, but actually don't try to kill each other, which is a pretty big deal if we think about Cain and Abel and how that turns out with Cain killing Abel. Noah's sons have some issues also, and one of Noah's sons ends up being ostracized. We continue forward with Abraham's son, as we said, Ishmael and Isaac, and there's a lot of contention there, not necessarily between the sons directly, but certainly between their mothers. Isaac's sons, Esau and Jacob, are really unkind to each other, and Esau gets really close to killing Isaac, to killing Jacob. Jacob's sons, right before they decide to throw Joseph in a pit and sell him to marauders, their first instinct is let's kill him. So this is a long tradition of these brothers really not getting along, of really having a lot of conflict, and Ephraim and Manasseh don't appear to have that. And there's this beautiful idea that we're blessing our sons through these two men, these two families, because we finally figured out how to get along. That intergenerational trauma has finally been overcome. And as we begin this new year, this 2023, I love this idea that no matter how long-standing a conflict has been or how hard it is to overcome adversity, that there is an opportunity, if not with us, then with our children, and um, that we can be intentional about wanting blessings for our children that are positive, that are not necessarily competitive, that are not pitting one person against another, but instead are saying that what we want for the future is peace and for people to find a path together, whether that means that we cross our hands, that we give a little bit more to somebody who may not have, or whether it means that we pay attention to the patterns that need to be broken as we proceed forward. And so I invite you on this Shabbat to find paths of peace and blessing, to find a way to break a pattern that has been holding you or the people that you love back. May you be blessed like Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, like Ephraim and Menasseh.